Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies from March 31st until April 7th. We are now officially moving into the fourth month of the year, and we have a lot of dynamic energies at play right now. We have a lot of energy supporting us in these new starts, new beginnings, and what you're ready to commit to. And in fact, that is one of the themes of this next week. Where are you making commitments? Where are you saying yes? Where are you allowing and encouraging yourself to do something new, to get something going, to follow a passion? What are you beginning within yourself? Because these energies are highly supported right now. We'll discuss more of that in today's podcast, as well as some of the upcoming transits that we're going to be feeling collectively and working with individually. One of the main cycles that we are moving through right now is that we just had a dynamic Libra full moon that we've been talking about for a while. In fact, I think I mentioned it for most of March about the energies of the full moon because of how it coincides with the Venus star point, as well as a conjunction with Chiron. So over the past week, you may have had some revelations or understandings around relationships, around what your own wounds are or what you're healing at a deeper level. And over the next few weeks, until we arrive at the Aries new moon on April 11th, we are moving through a phase of really going into what this means for you, what you're ready to change and do differently, what has come up to your awareness that you no longer want to carry forward. And of course, depending on your chart, this could have been something big for you or something small. But the energies are showing us what's in our hearts that we're ready to shift and change. And while we do that, we are in a letting go period, a cycle of releasing, perhaps releasing expectations, releasing attachments, releasing energies or parts of yourself that perhaps are connected to a previous version of self, perhaps connected to what you thought you wanted or what you had anticipated. I feel what this energy has shown us is more of where we're ready to make commitments to ourselves, where we're ready to understand the truth, a deeper truth about who you are now. And that's because of all these energies in Aries, which returns us to the self, our self-identity, our self-knowingness, what we've come to understand about who we are right now and how we are showing up as ourselves, how we're really standing strong and having the courage to be who we are. And so this energy is still playing out and is still important because the Sun and Venus are still traveling together in Aries. They are now pulling away from Chiron, which would have brought up something for you to see in yourself. Again, the wound, a trauma, something you're healing, something that felt vulnerable or insecure. Now you have this support in moving it through, in flushing it out, and doing so with confidence, doing so in a way that gives you a sense of belief and trust in yourself, and to couple that with the unlimited potentials of the universe. Now, both the Sun and Venus are making some lovely aspects this week, and they're starting off by making a sextile to Saturn in Aquarius. And when this energy occurs, whenever a planet, especially the Sun and a personal planet such as Venus, make a connection to Saturn, in a positive, supportive manner, something is stabilized. There is an opportunity, there is an understanding, there's something coming through that can lock in and provide a grounding energy, provide a sense of, oh, I didn't see that before and now I see it. Now I understand more of what is true for me, where you're going to make an energetic commitment that honors your sense of self, how you're growing, what you're learning, what you're understanding. And with that Saturn in Aquarius, I feel like it really connects to the bigger picture of the cosmos, like the bigger cycles of energy that are supporting us now. And so this is a beautiful time to make a commitment to yourself, to look at what you want to stabilize or really understand about who you are, about what you're creating, manifesting, building. It's a really important time to be intentional with your own energy, to be intentional with what is in your heart, with what you've discovered about yourself. Because what I feel around this is that as we rise in our own consciousness and as we rise in our own energy fields, where we feel that we're more in the 5D than the 3D, we feel that we are maybe above some of the worldly concerns or energies that are affecting the masses. It's like there's this rising up of energy that's a spiral. And that spiral, whenever we go up the spiral, it's something we have to energetically work with. It doesn't just happen. It's something we have to put our own energy into understanding ourselves, what we're healing, what we're letting go of, what we're transforming, what we're changing. It's very conscious work. It's very intentional work. And it can be very difficult at times as well, because we're required to see even more or understand even more of our own energies. But as we rise up and as we commit to that path and stay committed, things fall away. They leave. There's no longer an energetic resonance. There's no longer a connection. There's no longer even a need or a desire to connect to something. And I see it as when the petals of a rose are dried up and they are just complete. They're complete in a cycle and they fall away and they're very beautiful. It's a very soft energy I'm feeling, even though I know a dried petal leaf can be brittle and a little bit curled up, curled in, and it just completes its energy cycle. It just falls away. What this energy feels like is that as more has fallen away, there is a release that allows you to keep going higher. And it's almost like you're no longer burdened or carrying certain energies anymore. And I feel like part of what we're moving through, especially here in Aries season, as we come back to ourselves and come back to really knowing ourselves, there's an energy of release that's still occurring that we're feeling. I feel like it can be really ungrounded right now. Like there's maybe a lot moving. It could feel emotional. It could feel like there's a lot happening here that's moving you forward, and it can be hard to feel grounded. And it's a bit like lightening up, where the energies, experiences, people, events, whatever it is in your world that is falling away, there is a lightening here. And I'm seeing it as the falling away occurs, which is still happening because of this Mercury in Pisces that's quite strong, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But what is happening is that there is this emerging of lightness, and it's allowing us to feel carried. It's like being carried up, but it doesn't feel grounded. And I wish I could describe it better, but perhaps it's like learning to fly. It's like learning to spread your wings and your feet are not of use, but there's something lifting us up to a higher place in ourselves that's new, foreign, uncertain. Where am I? Who am I? What is this? What's going on? A lot has changed. A lot has shifted. And yet the energy is moving us forward. It feels like there isn't really a time to pause and catch a breath. It feels like the energy is flowing and moving in a way that requires us to simply trust the moment. Trust the heartbeat in terms of how our hearts are designed to keep us alive, keep us going, and to trust what we can't understand logically. So there's this floating energy, there's this lifting and this lightening up, and it can also feel very unclear at times. Now, Mercury is still moving through Pisces until April 3rd. And as this Mercury moves through Pisces, there is that theme of letting go. And it's a big deal because every time a planet gets to the end of Pisces, that planet has been through a lot. It's been through the whole cycle. And with this Mercury that goes retrograde, there's been a collection of energies. And I feel like this Mercury just needs a release valve. It's almost like letting go of what's in your mind, what's in your head, what's been overactive in your mental self. There can be this release that feels like a loss. It can feel like disappointment. It can feel like there's parts of yourself that are just still feeling really emotional. And I know that that Pisces season energy was really big for us. It was really intense with emotions and sensitivities and just what was coming up and moving through. And you could still be feeling some waves of that, some waves of loss or things that are leaving or something that makes you sad. There can be things coming up right now that even the conscious mind doesn't quite understand. It's like, why am I feeling this way? Or where's this coming from? And you can't quite pinpoint it other than you just feel it. So this is a Mercury in Pisces that needs a release, that needs to allow the flow to happen, whatever that means for you, however that shows up. Keep in mind that Mercury was just conjunct Neptune in Pisces on March 29th and 30th. And that is also a big release time where what Mercury was carrying that he wasn't even aware he was holding has to be let go of, has to be flowed through him. So if that is something you're feeling, allow that to happen for yourself. Know that it's all part of the divine cycle of energies and that it is a clearing. It is something that's meant to lighten you and release you. It's an energy that you're meant to let go of. And again, that can happen in so many ways, but it tends to be quite emotional every time a planet gets to the final degrees of Pisces. And it is a clearing out and allowing a void, allowing us to say, I don't know. And you know what? You could also say, I don't know, and it scares me, or I don't know what's going to happen and it's bringing up some fears, or I don't know what's going to come of this and I don't want to be hurt, or I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be abandoned. I don't want something to hurt my heart. All of that can come up the deeper we go into understanding what's happening within us at deeper levels. And if any of these messages are coming up for you, this would be a beautiful time to talk to the universe, to talk to God, Source, Spirit, the angels, whatever resonates with you, whatever calls to you, and give those fears away. Allow them to be removed from you or from your energy, at least from your mind. Allow them to be worked with through the energetics that we can tap into so that it doesn't mentally weigh you down. It doesn't create this heaviness, because it can create a mental heaviness, and that can show up through the overactive mind when we don't know something and we start trying to figure it out. That can show up through a heaviness of feeling stuck. I can show up through a feeling of depression where that energy is depressing down on the mind and the mind is trapped in a loop or in this labyrinth trying to get an answer or figure it out. The Pisces energy invites us to go higher. And it's one of these interesting dances between our humanness and our spiritual connections, because the human energies can feel very powerless in Pisces. And then when we go higher to connect to the spiritual realms or connect with spiritual guidance, there is a release. There is something that comes through, whether that's an intuitive hit or a message or something that shows up that reminds you you're not alone. So this is a strong theme right now. And then we're going to see this Mercury enter Aries on April 3rd. And when Mercury enters Aries, there is a shift here in a few ways, where that Mercury gathers himself together and he comes back to the beginning point of energies. And that's what happens every time a planet moves into Aries, is that whatever void was created in Pisces, now that Aries energy has an opening to create from. Something new that is inspiring, that's motivating, something new that comes through and says, what about this? And then that Mercury gets some energy, gets some fire, and is able to get moving again. So the energy of Aries is going to pick up on April 3rd when we will have Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Chiron all in Aries. And this supports those new starts really moving forward, because then finally our minds are on board. We're going to have some mental clarity. And I feel like what's going to happen here is that there's going to be a lot more energy over the weekend, because this Mercury in Aries is now in mutual reception with Mars in Gemini. And what that means is that the two planets are energetically supporting each other because they're in each other's ruling sign. So Mercury is in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So now you have these two energies working together and things get moving. And that's going to happen over the weekend. That's when there's going to be a shift, a change in the energies, even a sense of, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go for it. I want to put something into motion and I know what it is. So when we have these energies ramp up, we can feel them physically, we feel them energetically, we feel them spiritually. I feel like what's going to happen now is that we're going to get a sense of what is worth our time and where we want to direct our energy for these new starts that are coming through. Now, the new start energy is going to be very strong on that Aries new moon on April 11th. And that is at 22 degrees of Aries. And I do have the video for you now on YouTube that talks about that chart. It's a beautiful chart. And what I was feeling around it is divine timing is here. Divine timing is here, the middle of April, when there is more movement, more openings, more release of what's been maybe slow or holding you back. Now is the time when things are going to pick up. So until then, what we're doing is clearing out. We're allowing space. We're doing some more work around the heart. And I feel that because of how, again, that Libra full moon and the connections with Chiron, we're triggering something that was deeper within us. And now we have the ability to basically like massage it through or work it out to see more of what that was and to rework it so that by this Aries new moon, there is a sense of energetic clarity. And what I'm feeling around this is that what we're also doing is looking at how many energies we've absorbed or taken in from previous levels of consciousness. And I feel it in a very interesting way. I feel it as one of those, it's like a fun house mirror where you're standing looking in a mirror, but then all around you, there's mirrors. And in the mirrors are different energies coming in or reflecting back. And they're tied to other people, but they're tied to other experiences and other events or relationships or things in your life that have shaped you. And they've shaped you and they've formed you. And this can be a very good thing, by the way. Can be very encouraging and very helpful in understanding that sense of self. But it's like these funhouse mirrors have distorted aspects of our own energy, have distorted the truth of who you are, what you want, what matters to you. And they've been various, let's call them exercises in self-growth, self-awareness, and self-understanding. But they've also been blocks. I feel it as these blocks of energies. And I feel like what's happening is that as you stand in the middle of this, again, it's like a funhouse mirror with all these mirrors around you, the mirrors start to fall back. Maybe you see some of them crash. Maybe you see some of these mirrors dissolve. Maybe you see them just gently fly away or float away. But what I see is that these mirrors are coming down. They're being removed. And it goes back to this previous image of lifting up higher, of going up into some new energies of yourself that have been untapped. And it feels like what is falling away in these mirrors is related to energies that have been reflected back to us, which we created. And that's important to take responsibility for, energetic responsibility. That's part of our mastery. Part of spiritual mastery is the ownership of our energy across all experiences, all parts of our lives, all parts of ourselves. And so this energy that is being revealed to us through the funhouse mirrors is something that we're responsible for, but it's energies reflected back to us that came from lower levels of consciousness and understanding. I do feel like when I look in these mirrors, you could see reflected back to yourself your father or your mother or a brother or a sister, a friend, an employer, a lover, a partner. It's like you could see these parts of yourself being reflected back to you that are energies from other people. But then when you look in their eyes, you don't feel that connection, or you don't see yourself. You don't see the version of yourself that you are now. So this is quite the interesting visual where you can see how certain people formed your self-identity. This is also, I'm feeling like the lower energies here too, where this is where we can absorb and experience different levels of trauma, abandonment. I'm feeling it as the energies that happened at a young age, and they formed how you felt safe in the world. They formed how you showed up in the world and how you felt comfortable to be yourself. This is an energy that is certainly working with the root chakra. I'm also feeling it though as parts of ourselves that we brought forward from other lifetimes to heal in this lifetime, to heal in this timeline, because the healing process that we're in right now is moving faster than it ever has. Meaning, if there's something coming up for you, you can move through it and accelerate through it even faster than you would have in a previous lifetime or in a previous decade of this lifetime. I mean, the energies are just very fast, they're very accelerated, and they feel very supportive of the healing energies. They feel like we're meant to move through something so that we can get on the other side of it. And what I'm feeling around this is that it's part of our work in this lifetime is to get on the other side of some of these really big healing events and traumas and abuse and things that are really, they're significant to our sense of self, but we're not meant to stay there. It's part of how we are spiraling up and becoming more comfortable in these 5D energies, is that the universe needs us to accelerate through these energies. In fact, I'm feeling that Gaia also has the same request. I'm also feeling at a galactic level that there are energies saying we need you to keep moving through this because there's more to come. There's going to be more ways that our energy is going to be needed, and that the more that we can stay committed to our own work and our own healing, the faster we'll move through it. And so these are some of the main themes I'm feeling here as we move into April, where the energies pick up, things start going, things start moving. You could feel it happening quickly. Again, it might happen too fast for you, depending on your own energetic coding. It might feel like you need a slower pace or you feel overwhelmed, but this is an energy that's pushing us forward, ready or not, because the new cycle of energy coming in is very supportive of this next phase of growth, manifestation, connections, relationships, partnerships. Like there's more things that are meant to happen as we get over some of these humps or some of these healing situations that maybe have felt like they've just been dragging on. And I think that's going to be another shift here, especially throughout April, is that if something has been dragging on, dragging its feet, dragging its energy, taking its time, like you haven't felt momentum, you haven't felt like something was going to get started or it wasn't going to take off, or if even energetically you've been waiting on something, you've been holding on and just biding your time because it didn't feel right, it's going to feel right here pretty soon. It's going to get moving and you're going to sense it. Now, as this Mercury moves into Aries and is in mutual reception with Mars and Gemini, things do move forward more effortlessly. There's a sense of, aha, now it opens, now it goes, and now I can see that what I was waiting for was this time. We also have on April 6th, Venus in Aries sextiling Mars in Gemini at 20 degrees. And this is where Venus and Mars are the lovers. And there is a connection point here that can be very encouraging and lovely. It can be supportive. It can be a conversation, something expressed, something said, something put into motion. So this is a really lovely energy. And what we have here with Mars in Gemini, Venus in Aries, Mercury in Aries, and the Sun in Aries is that there is a strengthening of self-confidence, of courage, of what you want. These are all masculine energies. I feel like they are higher divine masculine energies that have been through the ringer. Of course, we know that back in 2020, we had that Mars in Aries with a very extended retrograde. Well, now we have the Sun, Mercury, and Venus all coming through Aries, all covering the tracks of that Mars in Aries retrograde and saying, who are you now? What do you want now? What matters to you now? And I feel it energetically bringing in new codes. And I feel it as these light codes from the sun, not just neutrinos, which is the energy that the sun blasts out. And those neutrinos are deeply encoded with energies and messages. What I'm feeling is coming through is much bigger, and that's related to both Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, connecting us to the cosmos and beyond. And so there's energies coming through that are very new, very different, very fresh, really bringing in some new energy fields. And I feel that they're bringing in these new energy codes that are new to our solar system, that are new to the Earth's atmosphere, and of course then new to our individual auras. And I see these energies coming through they're like nano micro. I mean, they're just super, super tiny. And that's so that they don't overwhelm our systems. It's also because they have to fully integrate into our current energy streams. So these are energies that are slowly coming through, and they're helping us move through whatever we're completing or ending, whatever cycles are turning over for you, whatever has reached a completion point. This is energy coming through that basically it's like it's being seeded in, and it's being seeded in to help the blossoming of what's next. And I'm seeing that the blossoming could take a few years. I feel like it's really connected to the Saturn in Aquarius energy, where we're integrating even more potentials into ourselves that we haven't had access to before. And it's opening up so much more. I think this is why I saw the lifting of the energies at the beginning of the podcast. It's like lifting and rising up, because it's only in these higher places that we could absorb different energies. And that's why there's been so much required of us to move through the denser energies, the deeper healing, the deeper emotional work, the deeper parts of ourselves that maybe it's just felt never ending at times. Like it could feel like, oh my gosh, I've already clocked so many hours in. I've already done so much work on this part of myself or this part of my life. Why is it still unfolding? Why is it still showing up? And I feel like part of what we're spiraling up into is that a lot of these energies can remind us that we're human, that we can only do so much in a day. We can only expect so much from ourselves. It helps us to remember the full spectrum of emotions and experiences that we can have here on this planet. And so how do we further integrate our humanness with our higher energy fields, with the 5D experience, but not allow those heavier themes to weigh us down or pull us back down where we stay there? Because what I'm seeing is that there's a shift in self-identity where maybe you thought, okay, well, this is 70% of who I am. And now you're shifting it down to, no, never mind, it's only 30% of who I am. So there's this recalibration of self-identity, of what you've come to understand about who you are now. And there's like this energy being, I'm going to say, squashed down, where it's like, okay, never mind, that's only 25% of myself right now, or 25% of my energy. And I'm going to open up to the higher realms because now I feel like there's more coming through that, again, very fresh, very different, maybe even unexpected. And it's very fast moving energies. This is where things can happen quickly for us, where there can be quick manifestations, quick developments, things coming through like a lightning bolt, and it is electrifying and it shakes something up. But that's because so much has been cleared away. So much has left. So much has been released. Perhaps you've been doing so much work that what you, again, previously felt weighed down by, it no longer weighs you down, even if you're still moving through it and working on some things. It just doesn't have that same heaviness, and it allows the new to come in. And I just feel like we're moving into the middle of April here, where there's going to be more openings, more developments, and more progress, but there's still this energy that says, honor your humanness, love the full experience of who you are, and stay aware of what you're intentionally releasing that maybe you've carried for decades or for many lifetimes. It does feel that significant, but the change is happening. And it's really happening in a way that our human self is not in charge of. And I feel like this is where you could feel a strong connection to your higher self or to your soul's energy field. This is where you can, again, partner with spirit, God, source, angels, guides, whatever you connect with, for what you need. Because there's just a strong elevation energy going on that we're moving into this new territory that we're ready for. We're absolutely ready for. And this is where there can be surprises. There can be wonderful developments here. And I feel like that's part of what we can do to stay in alignment and to not go off into some of these heavier or denser mental path. So if there's something you're really ready for, you're really wanting or desiring, there's something that you are ready to create in your life or experience next, know that you can invite in spirit to help you, and you can do this from a place of joy, of excitement, of inspiration. You can do it from a place of, I'm so delighted to see how this is going to show up for me. I am open and willing to being surprised by how this unfolds. I'm aware that I can't plan this or I can't figure this out, but I'm very excited to see how this can play out because of how the universe has unlimited potentials and unlimited miracles. So the beginning of April is really bringing in some new energies and really asking us to stay open, even while you could feel things being removed, or you could even feel those funhouse mirrors collapsing and falling away, where there's no energetic connection, or you're just realizing this is no longer a reflection of who I am. And also, not only is it, say, relationships or experiences or things in your life, this could be your own belief systems. This could be your own expectations or attachments. This could be what you had envisioned for your life, or even the false identities you were living or creating or feeling you had to show up as a certain version of yourself for whatever reasons. I just feel it falling away, and trust what that feels like for you if it resonates, and maybe do your own visualization around what those mirrors represent, how many mirrors there are. There could be 5, 6, 8, 12. What does that look like for you? Because I feel like this is part of the birthing energy of Aries. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac that reminds us to begin again, to come back to ourselves for answers and clarity, come back to yourself, to trust yourself, trust who you are, trust what you want, trust what calls to you. And that's where the courage comes in of Aries, the courage to trust, the courage to believe and to have a new start or a new beginning point. It's where we're putting energy into motion before we see it manifest, before we see it pay off. So the initiation here that's coming through is bigger than us individually, because as I was feeling, there's new energies coming through from other galaxies right now. Like, this is a big beginning phase. This is a strong energy of allowing yourself to grow, to advance, to rise in your own consciousness, to do something differently, to maybe trust in a whole new way or at a higher level. This is a big energy that's coming through, and it's because we're ready. It's time, and there's going to be rewards for it. There's always the manifestations from what we invest in and where we put our intentions. So as we continue to move through Aries season, we are really understanding the energies that we work with, what we're tapping into, what we have access to, what is calling to you to get started, even if it's as simple as planting a new garden, starting a new project, cleaning up around your house. What needs an energetic makeover, what needs to be cleared out so that you can begin again. And this feels like a very powerful cycle of energy. So we will continue discussing this as we move through April. Please do check out that April 11th Aries new moon video on YouTube, where I talk more about what's showing up and why it's important right now. And then please note that you can check out the April 2021 Soul Growth Astrology webinar for only $11 when you use coupon code Aries. And that guides you through the transits and how they may be showing up in your own natal chart as we move through April. So I hope that helps you continue to learn and practice astrology and learn more about your own chart. As always, thank you so much for joining me. It is a joy to connect with you every Wednesday and Monday. I'll be back on Monday for another podcast episode. Otherwise, you can find out more about me at mollymccord.online. And I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me, friends. I wish you a beautiful week ahead, and I hope that you're feeling these energies as they rise you up and lift you up. I'll see you back here soon.